No one asked for this movie. If they were just making a Pokemon movie, then okay, I'd be pretty excited. But a movie about a talking Pikachu with a kid we've never heard of before, in a city we never heard of before, that is live action and starring Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. Like, what? So I went into this movie with the lowest of expectations. The only thing I expected was for this thing to be better than the Sonic trailer. And it was. Kinda by a lot. Seriously, this movie isn't groundbreaking, but I did not expect to like this thing as much as I did. Bottom line, this is a coherent movie, which is way better than what I was expecting. One of my big concerns going into this movie was that it was only using Pokemon as an ad campaign to get you to go and see the movie. Watching the trailer, I thought, this is not how Pokemon interact. They don't all live side by side. It felt a little off. But this movie did a great job of keeping the story in the Pokemon canon and continuity. They mentioned that Rhyme City, which is the city where the movie takes place, is a special exception in the Pokemon universe. Instead of just capturing Pokemon, people and Pokemon live side by side in Rhyme City. N would be proud. But that doesn't mean we don't see Pokemon trainers in this universe. In fact, one of my favorite parts of this movie was the very first scene. No, wait, the very second scene. The very first scene was a car crash. Basically, the main character and his buddy are in essentially a Pokemon starter town, and they're waiting in the tall grass to catch a Cubone. It was actually kind of cool to see basically a Pokemon game interaction in live action. Like, the movie really makes good use of the Pokemon. They make a joke at the beginning about how the main character should catch the Cubone, because he's sad just like him. And it's great little nods like this that show the writers know a thing or two about these Pokemon. Like, that Cubone could have been any Pokemon, but they picked something that really fit the situation, which I was really excited about. We also get a few brief glimpses of Pokemon trainer battles. On the way to Rhyme City, we get a brief exposition dump about Pokemon trainers, and once we get to Rhyme City, there's an underground Pokemon trainer league that Tim and Pikachu eventually discover. All these things actually make me excited for a true live-action Pokemon movie. More than anything, this is proof of concept that I will actually go and pay for a regular Pokemon movie. The music, the visuals, the world building, they really all reminded me of playing those old Pokemon games as a kid. But the great thing is, you don't need to be a Pokemon fan to enjoy this movie. The plot uses the Pokemon world to its advantage, but it doesn't require you to know a whole lot about Pokemon. This is something that a lot of other video game movies haven't quite figured out. This isn't a Pokemon movie with a detective backdrop in it, it's a detective movie with a Pokemon backdrop. But there are plenty of little references for fans of the franchise. One of my favorites was the Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus statues in Howard Clifford's office. Another one of the things I thought was going to be a problem was their choices of Pokemon. I was afraid not enough generations would be represented or something, but the Pokemon in this movie make a lot of sense. It's like for each plot point they added a Pokemon that would best serve the story. They need a hired killer / shapeshifter, of course it's Ditto. They need to experiment on grass types that look like forests, of course it's Torterra. They really did choose some great Pokemon to put in the story that didn't make anyone feel left out by the end. The movie is also really well paced. The plot constantly keeps developing and revealing new information to the audience. It doesn't waste its time or drag things out, which I could totally see a movie like this doing. But easily the best part of the movie was Ryan Reynolds as Detective Pikachu. I liked this movie from the start, but as soon as Pikachu came on screen, the movie got way better. He's a good character and was really perfectly casted. Although it sometimes seems like Ryan Reynolds is playing more of Ryan Reynolds. Like if you gave me a line from either Detective Pikachu or Deadpool, there are some where I couldn't tell you what film it was from. I don't think that's a bad thing, especially because this type of role really plays to his strengths. But this is far from a perfect movie. There are plenty of not so great things in it. The first of which was the villain for the film, Howard Clifford. Okay, from the start of this movie, I knew he was the bad guy. As soon as anyone in a movie talks about being your best self or evolving beyond ourselves, yeah, that's the bad guy. But that doesn't automatically make him a bad character. It's just that in this case, it does. Like, the guy's motivations are so hilariously cartoon villain. Like, his whole plan is to turn into Mewtwo so he can combine people and Pokemon. Like, why doesn't he just want to turn into Mewtwo and then just, I don't know, not combine people with Pokemon? His whole thing could be as simple as he wants power. And that's way better than the no reason he has for fusing people and Pokemon. And for the final confrontation, I would have liked something a little more flashy. I mean, we have a city full of Pokemon, but instead we have a 1v1 with Mewtwo and Pikachu. I would have loved to see Mewtwo fight off a whole army of Pokemon, but what we got was fine. I just thought they could have done more of an epic ending. I also thought the detective work in this story was kind of lacking. Now don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting Detective Pikachu to be the next Chinatown or anything, but the detective work was pretty simple. They follow a lead, they go somewhere else, rinse and repeat. Even the twists in this movie didn't really feel like big twists. Like, they try to make Howard Clifford seem like a good guy, but then you go to his office and go, oh, that's a bad guy's office. When we learned Tim's dad is evil, I thought, no, he's not. Is the dad ever evil in these movies? No, not really. I would have liked maybe a less straightforward mystery. What we got was fine for what it was, but it didn't blow me away by any means. But overall, I really like this movie. I went into this thing with little to no expectations and came out really liking it. If you're a Pokemon fan, I really think you should go see this one. It's got plenty of great Pokemon, they do a little bit with trainer battles, and we have a scene in Tim's bedroom where we see his old Pokemon card collection. But even if you're not a fan of Pokemon, this is still a fun film. If you think you'd like to watch Ryan Reynolds as a small yellow furball with a coffee addiction for 2 hours, then you'd probably like this movie. It just impresses me because this movie could have so easily been horrible. Like, the Pokemon could have just looked bad. From the trailers, I wasn't too sure how these things would look, but they all looked pretty good in this movie. Like, it makes you wonder if you can easily get over 100 Pokemon right, including some dumb-looking ones like Golurk and Mr. Mime right, then how the hell do you mess up a live-action Sonic? Like, he's the main character in your movie, he's the only thing you guys have to CGI, and he still looks horrible. Anyway, this movie has no right to be good. It's a live-action Detective Pikachu movie. Like, when you first heard about this movie when it was announced, did anyone seriously think this thing was going to be live action? But this movie really was good. Was it amazing? No. Was it great? No. But I really had a fun time watching this thing. So normally I'd say go see this movie, but also go see Endgame instead, because it's so close to beating Avatar for #1 movie of all time. But once you've done that, yeah, go see Detective Pikachu. If I had to sell you on this movie, I'd tell you there's a scene of Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu depressingly singing the Pokemon theme song. And if that doesn't sell you on this thing, I don't know what will.